Hi friends! We're going to start out with our brows. If you already have a routine for that, that's fine. This is just how I do mine. I grab a thin angled brush and you can see here, I'm just tracing the line of the eyebrow just to fill in any areas that are sparse and to give it more of a defined shape. And then go ahead and fill it in. I do use a lighter pressure when I fill in the very front part of my brow. That way it's not blocky, it looks more natural. And then I go in and sharpen the tail of it up a little bit. Once again, you don't have to do your brows exactly like mine. This is just how I do it. Now I'm grabbing my full coverage concealer and a flat brush. And I'm using this to just clean up around the edges of the eyebrow just to make sure it's nice and neat. This will also give your eyeshadow a nice base to stick to, and it'll also make the shadows look more pigmented. So even if you have a way that you do your eyebrows already, I would suggest putting concealer down either way. Or an eyeshadow primer if you have that. Once your concealer's on, go ahead and blend that down onto the eyelid a little more. Moving on to eyeshadow, I'm just applying a nude under the brow bone. This shade is just going to be whatever's closest to your natural skin tone. This is basically just to set the concealer we just put down, and it'll also act as a transition shade for the other eyeshadow we're about to apply. And go ahead and blend it down into the crease of the eye a little bit. Alright, we're going to start with this very pale yellow and a fluffy brush. And I'm applying this right into the crease of the eyelid. Now, since this is a very pale shade, feel free to apply a few times. I did layer this shade on. And if you need, you can see I'm like patting the yellow in first and then I'll blend it out. Sometimes if you pat the color on first, it'll make it more pigmented. And then just make sure it's nice and blended. Now we're going to make it a little brighter with this next shade of yellow. And I'm going to do the same thing, apply it in the crease of the eye. Feel free to add this on in layers and pat that down also. Put as much as you need to make sure it's nice and pigmented. Now we're going in with this dandelion shade of yellow. And now we're going to start working on the eyelid. I'm applying this about halfway in the eyelid and towards the outer corner. And then I'm blurring it out towards the temple. And then you can take it up into the crease of the eyelid a little bit just to make sure all the yellows are blended together. Just don't blend it up towards the brow bone quite as much. This medium shade of yellow should be more concentrated to the crease and the outer corner of the eyelid. Now I'm grabbing a slightly smaller brush in this medium shade of orange, and I'm basically doing the exact same thing, just to darken it up a little bit, applying to the outer corner of the eyelid and right in the crease. And now this orange is as dark as we'll go. Now we're only applying it to the outer corner of the eye and blending that on out towards the temples. Here's what we should have so far. Now I'm grabbing a flat brush and this lightest shade of yellow again. And I'm applying that to the inner corner of the eyelid where we don't have any eyeshadow yet. And I'm applying only to the inner corner. Don't go up into the crease. This is going to be like a slightly cut crease moment. Make sure you blend the ends of it out like you see I'm doing here. And now we're going to go in with either your finger or a brush, and using this gold, I'm going to apply it right over that yellow we just put on. Now we're going to step away from the eyes for a second, and we're going to put on foundation all over the face. Moving on to concealer, you can conceal however you like. I like to use my concealer as like a highlight essentially. So I put mine on my T-zone, which is your forehead, your nose down to your chin, and underneath the eye area. Also, you could use a brush, a sponge, whatever tools you want to blend it out. This is just what I use. Now we're going to set the entire face with powder. Powder is really going to help your makeup stay set for the entire show, so make sure you put it all over the face. Now going in with the same shade of orange we used earlier, I'm going to apply it on the lower lash line. And then using this shade of orange again, apply it just to the outer corner, just to blend in that orange down to the bottom. And here's what we're looking like so far. Now we're going to contour. I don't do anything crazy. I'm basically just adding in a little more warmth back to my face. So I just do it down my nose, my cheekbones, my forehead, and if you want your jawline. Contouring is really up to you about where you want to place it. Now we're going to combine these two shades for our blush. It's going to look a little strong at first, but remember, you are in a football field and you're very far away from the judges, so you want to make sure it's visible from the stands. And I'm putting this on my cheekbones, up the sides of my temples, and up to my forehead. If it got a little too messy, feel free to clean it up with some powder. Now we're going to go in with some highlight. Once again, I'm applying it to the T-zone, forehead, nose, mouth, chin area, and cheekbones. You can use whatever highlights you like. There's some in the palette that you have been linked, or you can use your own, either one. This is lash glue, and I'm applying it right over the crease of my eyelid. This is to basically create a fake cut crease. I just used it to draw a thin line, and now I'm applying glitter. Mine is like a gold orange color, but yours will be yellow. And use a skinny brush so you can have good control of the glitter. And you're going to apply it right to the glue we just laid down. And it gives the illusion that we just did a difficult cut crease, but we didn't. Now I'm putting on a thin wing. If you don't know how to do wings, there's a million tutorials online. Feel free to look it up. And now we're putting on our lashes. The best way I found to apply lashes is to apply it over the eyelid like you would eyeliner. And then also apply it to the lash band. And then give both plenty of time to dry down. My glue dries clear, so once I can't see the glue anymore, I know it's about time to put the lash on. You want the lash glue to be tacky when you apply it, not wet. And if it's tacky, you'll feel it. It'll stick like immediately as soon as it touches. Give that time to dry, and we're going to move on to lipstick in the meantime. Your lashes should be dry by now, and we're going to put mascara on the top and bottom lashes. This is going to help marry your eyelashes to the false ones. And you will be adding gold foil, and that will be your final look. Have a good show.